Remember Woodlands Road? It was on the Bury line and it was the first stop north of Victoria Station. But since then, this station has closed and 2 new ones have replaced it. And those changes happened just over a decade ago now. So is there anything left of the station? Woodlands Road is just one of the many lost elements of the Manchester Metrolink. The Bury line itself was previously a railway line, as you might be able to tell, opened here in 1877. And Woodlands Road was opened on the line a bit later in 1913, but not for the reason you'd think. It wasn't really open to serve the area at all. There wasn't that much around here anyway. Basically, there were new electric tramways opening in the area. No, not those kinds of tramways, these tramways. But the railways didn't want the trams to take their potential profits, passengers, away from them. The station was built more to mark territory, rather than to serve that territory. The station was opened as a halt, a minor station that had basic facilities. You can imagine that when the Metrolink arrived, it was the least used stop on the Bury line, one of the least used on the entire Metrolink before it closed. Not to mention, there were much better locations for tram stops at Abraham Moss and Queen's Road, which also aligned with new development projects, which Woodlands Road did not. Basically, the station's location was a slight complication and perhaps was in need of a modification. So the opening of Abraham Moss on the 18th of April 2011 is basically what marks the beginning of the end for Woodlands Road. From then, to stop trams from stopping at both stations since they were quite close together, services at Woodlands Road were reduced to just from 10 AM to 4 PM on weekdays. That's the only times that trams were allowed to stop at Woodlands Road. And funnily enough, that is the only time that it's ever happened that an individual tram stop has had a limited service like that. And if I remember correctly, the last service to stop at Woodlands Road, the final in-service tram, stopped at 3:58 PM on Friday the 13th of December 2013. The station seemed to still be open to the public on the Saturday and the Sunday following, but it was officially closed to the public on Monday, which is the same day that Queen's Road opened. Here's a list that I made of the final services to depart from Woodlands Road. The last tram was southbound to Altrincham at 15:58, but there was also another scheduled service northbound to Bury that was meant to call at the same time, but it skipped the station for some reason. It was running around 4 minutes late, but why would that affect the timetable stop at Woodlands Road? Who knows? Something you might know is that the only thing left of Woodlands Road Station today is about 5 metres of the platform that was kept just to maintain access to a little cabin that probably is holding electrics. But there is actually a little bit more to see because there are a few footpaths that led to Woodlands Road Station that you can actually still see and walk on partially today. If you walk down here over to Wigmore Road, then you get to this footpath which still partially survives. This used to be a footpath that led to the Bury platform, the outbound platform, and you can kind of see where the footpath would have continued to the platform over there. And of course now it's blocked off. It's just for access to the electricity substation. And the name of the substation actually does retain Woodlands Road because, of course, it was here before the station closed. So I guess that name is also a remainder of Woodlands Road Station. However, if we go back down, there's another blocked off footpath here, and this used to be another entrance joining up with the one on Wigmore Road that goes up to the Bury platform. Now I was a bit confused at first because I looked on Google Street View and you definitely could walk at least this part of the footpath up until a few months ago when they decided to move the gate from over there all the way up to here. So you could walk that bit of the footpath up until maybe about 6 months ago. That's too bad. I didn't get here fast enough. The Manchester platform's access looked like this. Everything was demolished with almost no trace in October 2014, along with the entire station. That was about 10 months after it closed. Since then, nature has very much taken back its ground, and in 2026, even the footpath that was still here, you could still see it. But today, no, it's completely gone. It's completely covered up. Woodlands Road station had a life of just over 100 years. It was opened in March 1913, and then it was closed in December 2013, so it literally just made it over the 100-year mark. And to celebrate its 100th year in service, there was a group of people that went up to the Bury platform on the 2nd of March, and they were basically campaigning for the station to stay open because, say if you live in that area, they now had to walk a bit further to reach Abram Moss down there. And they didn't see why both stations couldn't be open. Well, of course, let me know what you think in the comments, but me personally, what I think is that the reason for opening Abram Moss was pretty solid, and I don't think the two stations could have really coexisted. I think they were just too close together. 250 metres is kind of pushing it, and also the station wasn't really used that much, and it was also just an old station that needed upgrades, especially to security, and all of those factors meant that transport bosses weren't really keen on keeping it open. But again, what do you think? Now, I do want to take you back to Abram Moss because there are a few things of note there. But first, there's something very interesting that I noticed looking at satellite map a few days ago. I'm honestly upset that I'm just now noticing the name of this tiny little road here. Woodlands Road station used to be a halt station, and this road is called Woodholt Road. Very interesting. Woodlands Road was opened in 1913, of course. This road and the houses around it were built in the 1930s, 1940s. Yeah, it is very possible that this road that joins to Woodlands Road, which is right there, is actually taken from the railway station's name. That's interesting. So a road is the namesake of a railway station, which is the namesake of another road that connects to the first road. That's quite interesting. So construction on Abram Moss began in October 2010, which was 6 months before it opened. There used to be a walking route through here. There was an underpass underneath the railway lines, but it was filled in and it was blocked off for the Metrolink, and it's been replaced by the track level crossing up there. Now, historically, when trains were still running through, there was also a short branch off the line here that headed up towards chemical works just behind where North Manchester General Hospital is today. It would have run just beside where this car park is today, mostly where this patch of green space is. Now, on the network map, Woodlands Road hasn't changed that much over the years, and it was displayed once as the closest stop to the Museum of Transport. Today, of course, it's Queen's Road, and after April 2011, it was displayed with the coloured box around it, which indicated its limited service. So there you go, that is Woodlands Road, closed 2013. That's the first episode of Lost Metrolink. If you do like this idea, if you like this series, then please like the video and share it around just to let me know that you really want this series to continue. So I'll see you next week, subscribe if you like, and thanks for watching.
This includes the use of e-cigarettes.
Someone needs to replace that speaker.